Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Logan Losurdo, and I currently attend Tuggerah Lake Secondary College, the entrance campus on the central coast of New South Wales. I feel deeply privileged to be sharing with you my personal journey and the personal experiences I've had with the AVID program with you all today. As a proud Indigenous young man, I would like to pay my respects to the Aboriginal peoples of this land. Those from the past, those living in this present moment, and those of the future. And I extend this respect to everyone here today. In my brief 17 years on this planet, I've faced challenges that have shaped and changed the person that I am. Although I'm the one standing up here alone on this stage, I stand representing countless young people in schools across our nation. I stand here on the shoulders of so many people who have moved obstacles, opened doors, and whispered the right words at the right time. This afternoon, I'm speaking to you all from the heart of who I really am. I'm going to share with you where I've come from, the challenges that I've faced, and the experiences that I've had with the AVID program, and how it's developed and changed the course and trajectory of my education and future. I must admit that I am a little nervous, and I feel quite vulnerable, because this afternoon I share with you things that up until now I've not shared with many people. Like a lot of young people my age, I was born into a life that was complex, one that would take me years to know, to come to terms with, and then finally begin to accept. Up until 12, I grew up living with my mum, my two younger brothers and my nan. She was there from time to time. Life was anything but stable. My brothers and I were exposed to things on a daily basis that no young person should. These were things like drug abuse, domestic violence, serious criminal activity, police raids, family and community service visits. These were just the norm for our family. Every day was a fight, and every day there was another lie to tell somebody about what was really happening. As a kid, the culture of my early life came out of this place. Up until 12, I really only knew two modes of operation: fighting or running. I learnt very early on that those two things could save you. Everybody was always fighting with someone at home. Often these fights would be violent. They could happen at any moment. The yelling, the arguments were the soundtrack of my childhood. Fighting worked, or so I thought. When it got too much, I'd just run. I knew things were not okay. I felt it every day, but it was all I knew. My brothers and I grew up never knowing what to expect and what the next moment would bring. I just accepted that this was the way things were meant to be. When it got too much, the streets, the skate park were my escape, and I would run. As a family, we would often run. 1 minute in Nowra, next minute in Queensland, running from people and running from problems. When I was younger, I loved playing rugby league. It was my passion. I guess I loved football because I got to run hard and fight hard. I knew I was good at both of those things, so it was a perfect match. In Year 6, it was my dream to become the next Jonathan Thurston. I knew that he'd had a tough childhood and he'd found a way beyond his pain. So it became my plan, my way out. I put everything that I had into football. All of the pain and confusion that was happening at home went into football. When I played rugby league, I felt free. It helped me release frustration, hurt, and pain. School couldn't compete with football, and often it was just another thing on my already overloaded plate. In fact, I mainly went to school to play football. I lived for that 30 minutes of lunchtime when I could be in control and the king of the field. For most of my life, school wasn't about education for me. It was just a place I went to see my friends, be a football star at lunchtime, and to be made to do a whole heap of what I thought was meaningless work. One of the most challenging days of my life happened to me on a train. My mum had planned a big day out for me. She called it my special day. Quality time, just her and I. We got on a train at Torres station on the central coast and headed into the city for the afternoon and evening. We got to Sydney, went to time zone, and kind of played around for a while. I could tell something wasn't okay. I'd learned what the vibe was like when something was about to go down. After a few games, Mum simply turned to me and said, "I'm not your mother. You have a different mother." That was it. Nothing else. A bomb went off inside of me. I froze. I didn't even cry at this point. I just felt a lump grow bigger in my throat. That was it. I didn't run and I didn't fight. I just froze. For me as a little kid, time just stopped. I vaguely remember the walk back to Redfern train station. We stood there waiting for a train. The train came, and next minute all I knew was that I was hurried onto the train by Mum and told to find my way back to the Central Coast. On this ride home, my body was numb, but my mind was racing. I felt totally alone. I couldn't trust anyone. I felt that my whole life was a complete lie. My identity, my everything, had just been ripped out of me. There was just nothing left. I didn't know who I was or where I belonged. We never spoke about this moment again, but it haunted me day and night. Over the next couple of years, I came to understand that my auntie was actually my biological mother, and that from the moment I was born, she was incapable of caring for me. Unfortunately, she suffered from a series of complex mental health issues and was ruled by deep-seated addictions. From the day I was born, I was placed into the care of my biological auntie, who had just turned 18. The woman that I thought for all of those years was my real mother. I grew up for many years with my two brothers, never being told the truth of who I really was. Deep down inside, I always knew that I was different. I looked different. I felt different. It became my secret, but it was eating me from the inside out. One September morning in 2013, I was in Year 6 and called to the principal's office. I knew something was wrong. I could feel it. When I walked into the office, I knew they were from Community Services. I knew that our family wasn't going to be able to run this time, so I went with them. I didn't really have a choice because they had already taken my younger brother Bailey. Community Services planned to split us up into different emergency placements because there was a shortage of emergency carers on the coast. Luckily, one of the carers has a spare roll-out bed and agreed that we could all stay there until something else came up. We stayed in emergency care for 3 months. Little did I know, my younger brother Matt had built a very close connection with a Year 4 teacher, Mr. Steffens. I later came to know that this man fought for me and my brothers because he saw potential in us. He worked with the Department of Education and Community Services and took us on. Mr. Steffens became Russ, and on January 12, 2014, we became a family. For the first time in my life, I had a great home. A home that I loved. A home that I felt safe and secure in. Even though my life had just changed for the better in every way, I struggled with all of these changes, particularly at school. I came close to suspension a number of times. I was a complete clown. I truanted and was becoming heavily influenced by the wrong types of people. Up until Year 7, I'd never taken school seriously. To be honest, I was a complete clown, and I was beginning to develop behavioural and attitudinal problems. In my new home, Russ showed me the importance of education and how it could build the potential of who I was. With Russ being a teacher, our whole home seemed to be about learning and improving ourselves. We read books, watched the ABC, talked about things happening in the world. Russ sat me down one evening and talked about applying for the AVID class at school. He spoke to me about it and he said it was as close as I was going to get to a Willy Wonka golden ticket. Russ was a trained AVID teacher, so I really didn't stand a chance. So at the end of Year 7, I applied for the AVID program, and luckily for me, I was accepted. I really didn't know what I got myself into. Then Mrs. Cobham happened to me. I didn't know it at the time, but Mrs. Cobham, my AVID teacher, will be one of the most pivotal people in my life and radically helped to shape who I was and the future I was starting to build. The connection I experienced with my AVID teacher is a lifelong one. When I think about where I am right now, I can see Mrs. Cobham's fingerprints everywhere. My connection with Mrs. Cobham has been one of the most important things that AVID has offered me. It created an anchor for me. She became someone to share my thoughts and feelings with about my learning and what was happening for me at school. In AVID, I was taught skills that are now so essential to my learning. I learnt how to read complex texts by breaking them down. I learnt how to take quality notes and how to own the information I was trying to learn. I learnt how to set goals, small goals and big goals. Small goals like completing all of my Keynote notes for the week, and once I'd achieved all those goals, I gradually moved into the larger goals like getting all A's and B's in classes. WICA was a major focus, and it gave me all the tools that I needed to learn as much as I could. These skill components were the focus of our lessons in AVID. I learnt how to write effectively. I learnt how to critically read an academic article. and how to break the article down and extract the key aspects. I became an incredibly organised student. I learnt how organisation is a key to success. My bedroom wall became lined with vision boards, essential vocabulary terms, study timetables, and SMART goals. In AVID, I learnt how to work with other people, to discuss what we were learning about, having academic conversations. I really loved how learning wasn't about just sitting quietly in a classroom. It became about sharing ideas and having opinions about things that we were learning about. Tutorials and collaborative activities built my confidence in every way. I began to learn that other people had opinions and that I needed to listen to those. There is a reason why AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. The program builds the desire within the student to advance, to find the fuel within them to advance through individual determination. So that's what I did. I became determined to advance, to move forward. I forgot about football being the only way out and started to look at other possibilities for my future. As a result of this environment, my aspirations quickly began to grow. One evening, while arguing with Ross about why I shouldn't have to do something at home, he fired a seed that hit my heart. He told me that my argumentative skills were exceptional and that I should become a lawyer. Deng Adut, the 2017 New South Wales Young Australian of the Year, inspired me greatly. I watched the story of Deng in one of my AVID classes. I saw a man that couldn't speak English, but through strength, determination and effort, became a man that made his way through a law degree and became a success despite his earlier life as a child soldier. It filled up the empty tank inside of me. He inspired me so much that I stalked him on Instagram and built up the courage to message him. And not holding back, I asked him if he could help me achieve my goal of becoming a lawyer. I didn't really expect him to reply, but he did. Not only that, he agreed to meet me. After connecting a couple of times, Deng offered to mentor me all the way through my schooling and university, and if I work hard enough, he has guaranteed me a position in his law firm. Every holidays, I go to his law firm for work experience, just to get a real taste of what it's like being a lawyer. Overall, I spent 3 years in the AVID program, and I would not have it any other way. My AVID teacher and the AVID program has changed my life. AVID is a way that I've learnt to do things. It has made a world that was once beyond accessible to me. I went into the AVID program with a growth mindset and absorbed as much as I could. I said yes to everything that was presented to me. The university excursions, tutorials, getting the opportunity to talk to parents and caregivers about AVID, travelling to Melbourne to speak to Mary Catherine Swanson, the founder of AVID. The opportunities became endless, and the more I said yes, the more they came. AVID took me beyond the classroom and got me involved in being a help to others. The kid that needed help was becoming the young man learning to help others. AVID taught me to back myself. Earlier this year, I put myself forward for a captaincy role at my campus, and I was honoured to be voted vice captain. The way I see it, AVID helps kids like me to unlock doors that have unfortunately been closed for whatever reason. As I said initially, I stand here representing countless young people in schools across our nation. There are many kids like me in classrooms, kids whose life experiences have not given them what they need to be great. That's why I've come to believe teachers and schools are so important. Ultimately, I found everything that I needed at the schools that I've attended. My parents were incapable of giving me the start that I needed in life. They have been absent for the greatest part of it. For me, it's been the teachers like the ones before me today that have made the ultimate difference in my life. One of them believed in me and my brothers so much that he gave us a home and a family. Watching Q&A a couple of months ago, one of the panelists quoted a statistic. The statistic hit me hard. 1% of kids in out-of-home care in Australia make it to university. Despite the obstacles in my life, I aim to be of that 1%. Thank you for helping kids like me not only dream of being part of the 1%, but helping us make it a reality. And I would like to invite Ms. Cobham and Russ to the stage.
You can see how inspirational our young people are when we're met with young people like Logan and Hassan and Vanessa and Syra. I think our world is in a good place. They inspire us to be the best teachers we can be so they can be the best future leaders of our world. Thank you.